Thank you very much. Comrade President, colleagues, friends, brothers and sisters. Let me thank you all for being here tonight, because I know there are many, many things that you could have been doing. And you chose to be here because you think it's important that our party continues to lead this country and to go stronger day by day. And we are grateful for that, because no party in this world could do well without the energy of its supporters, without their efforts, without their hard work. And it is your work that we are meeting here to celebrate today. But we need to understand what is taking place in our country today and how far we have come. A few months ago, we had our Congress, and I happened to drop in at one of the workshops. And one of our senior activists was speaking, and he said to the people there in the workshop, when I go to people's home to tell them to come to meetings, they don't want to come out. So he lives in the Diamond area. And he said that they say, look at the drain in front of my home. It's not clean, and the road has some potholes. We're not coming out. We're not voting for the PPP, some of the people. So I said to him, what did you say to them? And he said to me, what am I going to say? I called the minister. And I said to him, these are people whose heart are with us. We need to have a conversation with them. You need to go back to those homes and sit down with the people and say to them, in Diamond here, where there was a cane field several years ago, 5,000 house lots were given out to 5,000 families. And we have 2,500 new homes here. We have a new hospital in Diamond. We have 2 banks in Diamond. We're widening the road in Diamond. We have a police station that we built. We have a secondary school we built. And are you going to judge the PPP on the basis of potholes on the road or the drain not being clean? Judge us on the basis of how we've changed this country. And the problem with being in office for too long, in fact, 21 years of progress, is that sometimes we forget our own achievements. And because we forget our own achievements, the opposition can rewrite history. Last night I spoke about how the villains of the past, the crooks of the past, are today in the newspapers being portrayed as the heroes of our history. I pointed out about Granger's history and Greenwich's history, how they helped to destroy this country, steal our freedom, and today they can go on platforms and talk about bringing freedom to Guyana and democracy here, because our memories are either too short, or secondly, they're capitalizing on an entire generation that grew up under the PPP, that doesn't know the hardships of the past, so they can't assess how far we have come. We need to understand that the conversation in this country has changed. So when we got into office, the conversation was about health care, access to health care. People didn't have access, they didn't have drugs, the hospitals were not functioning. Today, there were no doctors, 150 doctors for the entire country. Today, the conversation has changed from access to quality. We now have 900, 1,000 doctors, and almost 800 of them were trained by this PPP government, our government, so they can serve you. That is how our country has changed. You can go to the hospitals now, and there may be hiccups from time to time, but trust me, you're going to have drugs there because we ensure that we put enough money to buy the drugs so people can have access to it. The people in the hinterland have access to health care. New hospitals right across this country. Access has improved, it has changed. But we take it for granted because we have short memories sometimes. And look how education has changed. At one time, only 35% of our children could go on to secondary education when we took office because you had space in secondary schools to accommodate only 35% of them. You know what happened to the 65% who took the common entrance? They had to fail because there was no space to put them. They either went to community high schools that they couldn't write the CXC with, so their lives were doomed to failure. Today, more than 80%, in fact, we are moving to universal secondary education. More than 80% of our children now can go on to have a secondary education. We're not wasting their lives. We're preparing them for that future. We've expanded university education. We're moving to online education. We're working to ensure that people are connected in this country. That is how the conversation has changed. Today, they talk about what they will do in government, what they will fund and what they wouldn't fund. But you remember the days when we could not even pay wages and salaries in the public sector. When we got into office, 94% of every taxpayer's dollar that we collected was going to service debt, and another 20% to pay wages and salaries. When you paid wages and salaries in the public sector and debt, that was 114% of revenue. We had to borrow to do that. Nothing to run the country with. There was no reserve in the central bank, no money there. Interest rates were 40%. People couldn't borrow to build a house because if you borrow $2 million, in 2 or 3 years it become $4 million because of the interest rate. And another few years it would become $8 million. That was how high the interest rate was. The fiscal deficit was huge. How has that changed today? Because of hard work. Today, we use 4, not 94% anymore, 4% of revenue to pay debts, the lowest in the entire Caribbean. We have the fastest growing economy in the Caribbean. It has grown tremendously from 300 million to over 3 billion US dollars. We have 800 million US dollars sitting in the central bank. Interest rate, inflation has come down. Interest rates have dropped steeply because of innovative things. You can borrow for low-income housing as low as 5% today. And that is why so many people can afford their homes, that they can build their own homes. That is how we have changed the country. And last night, I said about this, Joseph Harman saying they will not respect any agreement if they come into office that the PPP signed. But if we didn't respect the 2.1 billion US dollars that they took in debt, that we don't see any sign of progress for, because when they were borrowing to consume and to support the balance of payment, not to do new projects. In that period, the country was deteriorating. But with 2.1 billion US dollars that this government, the PPP government over the last 20 years had to pay back, we could have fixed every school in this country, every hospital, widened all the roads, built the hydro, built bridges not only across the Berbice River, Essequibo River, fixed the cost of living issues, addressed information communication technology, and still had money remaining. But guess what happened? We had to pay back all of that at the same time while we were trying to change the country. And with them, on the other hand, supporting criminals to bring us down, generating violence around election time. This is the history that you need to know. That is how far we have come. It has not been an easy road. So you come from a proud party, but if you don't remember your own achievements, they're going to take advantage of this. So if someone comes and says, oh, the cost of living is too high now, it may be true, but today people have cell phones. Look how many cars we have on the road. When the PNC, you look at the PNC meeting, in the early days, they had 5 bicycles. Nowadays, their biggest problem when they have a meeting is to find parking for cars. Their own supporters have made so much progress, and yet they say nothing has happened in this country under PPP rule. But look at the signs of progress. Look at the changes in people's lives. It's not easy. It's not easy, but people's lives have changed tremendously under the PPP. And when we fixed all of that, we fell back the deep hole that they dug for this country, and we said, let's look to the future. Let's create some new projects that will address the jobs for young people, that would create more wealth for our people, that would ensure that they can have a better life. Big projects like the hydropower, which will address cost of living for most people, because cheaper electricity is important, not only for you so you have lower light bills, but also for our manufacturers so that they can produce more and generate more jobs. The opposition sabotages it through a campaign of lies. Let me tell you, the hydropower, it's not a government of Guyana project. It is a project developed by a private investor. The only thing that the government of Guyana is doing is buying power at 11 cents US cents per kilowatt hour. We are now generating power at 19 US cents per kilowatt hour, and we're selling it to people because of all the theft and the transmission losses at 31 US cents per kilowatt hour. We can buy it at 11 cents. We wouldn't have to import all the expensive fuel. So what happens there? Are we creating a debt? There is not a single cent of debt. All we are doing is guaranteeing the payment for power to the company. But what will this do to Guyana? The government now, taxpayers, your money, $7 billion a year we give in subsidies to GPL to keep the prices low. Because if the government didn't give them the $7 billion based on fuel prices, the cost would be higher to you. We will save over 20 years of this project, 140 billion Guyana dollars. If the electricity rates drop by 20% for you, you now pay about $30 billion a year in electricity, the whole country. They will save $6 billion a year. Consumers, people like you, over 20 years, that's $120 billion. 120 plus 140 subsidy saves the country $260 billion, more than the cost of the entire hydro project. This project was publicly advertised, good for the country. But people like Greenwich, hopeless. This guy was the worst finance minister ever in the history of the country. If they have an award for the worst finance minister in the world, he will win it by far. Greenwich. And then you have a Gaskin whose only success was to run a bicycle shop. And Christopher Ram, who helped to write the PNC manifesto, who tried to dissuade people from investing in the Berbice Bridge. They are the analysts And they've spread a campaign of lies, so that's something that the government is doing to bring down your cost of living, to save this country billions of dollars, to ensure that more jobs are created. You think that it's bad for the country because you listen to them, you read the Kaichor News and the Starbuck News, and you people believe. If we don't know our own story, how are we going to defend this party? How are we going to say that we want to continue to run this country, to change Guyana? We have to believe in it. We have to educate ourselves. We have to educate the young ones, because we come from proud stocks. We are a strong party. We would not tolerate any bullying. And the same thing goes for the airport project that they're trying to block. Soft loan, I don't want to get into technical details tonight, because over the next few days I'll be talking about that. But tonight is a night to understand that if we allow small things in our communities, the drainage, the roads, a couple of potholes, some neighbor, you don't like the NDC man, so you say, I'm not voting for PPP, then we'll have a lot to cry about in the future. Because you see, my generation that grew up without freedom in this country, life here, about raising a family here, about prospering here. The grandmothers and the parents, you have to ensure that your children has a future where they can live in freedom with dignity. And only the PPP can ensure that that happens, comrade. Only the PPP. We have a track record of freedom, fighting for freedom, being on the right side of history. And we have a philosophy, an economic philosophy that creates wealth, that generates income, a philosophy that sees people at the center of everything, not a philosophy of consumption, living for today like the PNC. Everything that they want, the wealth we create, they want to eat it up like they ate it up for 30 years, and that's why we went backwards rather than our country moving forward. So we need your help tonight. All of you, when you go back to your villages, support the groups coming around. Let's go to every home, every single home. Talk to the comrades. Say, we know you may have grievances, but look at the big picture. If we don't look at the big picture, we will regret it sometime in the future. So comrades, I grew up in this party, and I know about the strength and the character of its supporters and citizens. I know in our hearts we can take on any challenge, any struggle. We can do it, and we don't have to be intimidated. This is a free country. We'll fight to change things here, and we'll fight to keep our party in power, and we'll continue to support our president. Thank you very much.